Hello, yes, hi, and welcome to the Dark Knight Conspiracies, Episode 20. American institutions have lost their Wray. So, this last week, folks, we've seen all these testimonies to state legislatures in various states: Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, and lastly, Nevada. And time and time again, the evidence is overwhelming, but yet the mainstream media stays out there and completely says, "Move along, people, nothing to see here." Well, it's getting to the point where it can't be ignored. We saw this week the videotape in Atlanta come out where poll watchers were asked to leave the room because of a water main break at 10:30 at night. Others stayed behind, and there was a table with a black cloth in the middle of the room. Suddenly, all these cases of ballots came out, and they just started counting them through the machines with no oversight. This stuff can't be ignored. But yet, we constantly see lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit being thrown out of court in all these states, with these judges claiming there's no credible evidence. Forget the hundreds of affidavits of witnesses under penalty of perjury. All of a sudden, witnesses don't matter anymore, unless they're for the left. And for all those people out there that are arguing with their family, their friends, their neighbors, their co-workers, here's my advice. This is not about Trump or Biden. This is not about Republican, Democrat. This is about the integrity of our elections. If we don't fix this now, it's over. We're not going to have integrity. We're the ones that are supposed to have confidence that the people we're electing are being elected fair and square. So that would be my advice to people that are in these disputes with certain people. Now, at this point, I want to provide a disclaimer that this channel is my opinion and my opinion only. I take news stories that are open sourced on the internet and I give an opinion on them. I don't claim that they're fact. I don't claim that they're fiction. I ask you do your own research and discern for yourself. So now we're going to turn to the Nevada case, which was just held. Judge dismisses Trump lawsuit over voter fraud in Nevada. Now, I would like to point out to people, the prosecutors in this case had to have separate vehicles bring the evidence in because that's how much evidence they had. My understanding is there were 20 binders, and the binders were simply filled with voter ballots that were illegally cast. And what's interesting is the judge is also ordering the lawyers for the campaign to pay for the defendant's legal fees. Go figure. And this is also an Obama-appointed judge. So Biden won Nevada by 33,000 votes. So if you read down here, part of the prosecution's case, they laid out 2,468 votes by voters who changed their address to another state or country were cast. 42,284 of voters who voted twice, and 20,000 voters who voted in Nevada without a Nevada mailing address. Contestants did not prove under any standard of proof that any illegal votes were cast or counted. This is ridiculous. But what this is showing, what Donald Trump is showing to the American people, this is corrupt to the core, to the point where our judicial system is corrupted. Now, I do believe he's going to let this play out. We know these state legislatures have the right to override their state laws based on Constitution to take control of their elections if there's evidence of wrongdoing, voter fraud, etc., etc., and they can rename new electors based on this evidence to cast their votes. We'll wait and see if they do the right thing, because obviously the judges are not doing the right thing. My confidence is not very high, because as I said before, they're all part of the same party. I know specifically in Michigan, they've pretty much already have come out and said they're going to do what their state law requires, which is give the popular vote to the winner, which is Joe Biden. So we'll see how this plays out. My guess is Trump's going to let this process play out. And if it doesn't go his way, then this is when he will evoke Executive Order 13848. And he will declare that the United States is under attack by foreign countries interfering in our elections, which will evoke military law and the Insurrection Act. And I believe this is when you're going to start see the roundups. Now, also in the news this week is everybody, and when I say everybody, the people, political figures, some news commentators are asking, where's the Justice Department? Where's the FBI? Well, what got my attention this week is Joe Biden made the announcement he's going to keep Christopher Wray on as FBI director if Trump doesn't fire him. Well, my opinion is this is admission that Christopher Wray is deep state and that he's been working against Trump and his administration since he was appointed. And I know a lot of people are going to say, why did Trump appoint him? And again, I'll just quote from The Godfather. You keep your friends close and you keep your enemies closer. You give them enough rope to hang themselves. And ultimately, I believe this is what's going to happen with Chris Wray. Now, what was also interesting, and this is what really caught my attention because my immediate response is, well, let's see what he does about Gina Haspel. Because she's also rumored to be deep state. I mean, you do your research on her background. She was a protege, worked directly under John Brennan, traitor. And she was in charge of all black sites throughout the world. And what they did at these black sites was interrogated people. Some say torture. Don't know. Can't vet it. So what was interesting is then Biden comes out and says, well, I'm going to pick a new CIA chief. So that got me thinking. So did Gina Haspel flip? Did she make a deal Well, one of the contributors to the show, who I'll just say Ellen, sent me this, which was interesting. And there's tons of these all over the internet. It's a Gina Haspel obituary. Died November 30th. Details of death not yet confirmed. Well, this is interesting, because multiple sources now have been reporting this. Actually, I was picking up one or two throughout the week, and it started to gain traction, and more people. And when I say people reporting on this, I'm talking retired spec ops military people who have their own YouTube shows. And I'll just name two of them, Werx and Jeffrey Prather. And you can look them up on your own. Also, Dr. Dave Janda, who does extraordinarily good work, have all come out and started to essentially verify this. Again, this stuff is impossible to vet. I'm just going to say that. We're taking people's word for it. But I do think it's interesting that Joe Biden is now looking at a new CIA director when, for the most part, we all know she's deep state if you do your research on her. Now, the story is, and in a previous episode, We Have the Server. This involved the raid on the Germany C_A site that was raided by military personnel. The story they're reporting is that Gina Haspel was there protecting these servers and trying to get them out of there, and we surprised them. They're also reporting at least up to 5 casualties on our end. I'm guessing a lot of casualties on their end because there was a firefight, according to these sources. Again, can't vet it. And Gina Haspel was there. Whether or not she was wounded or perished in the incident, most people believe that she was taken alive, transported to Gitmo, and she is singing like a bird. They are also reporting Sidney Powell and General Flynn also went to Gitmo and interrogated her. We'll have to see how this plays out. So things are moving, folks. And this goes back to the Q post I showed, Free Flynn. And he was pardoned on November 25th. Done in 30. Leads us to Christmas, December 25th. And we're starting to see a lot of news breaking of all this stuff happening behind the scenes. Now, what's interesting is, and I'll leave the video in my description, that Werx put out there. They use, this is called Flight Tracker 24. And this is a subscription service. You can use it free, but if you want to really get into, so long as transponders are on, you can actually follow some military vehicles on this site. And notice I got my site set on Guantanamo Bay. And this is live. And you can get the call numbers of the tailplanes by just highlighting. And you click and the information comes up. Shows where they're coming from, where they're going to, their altitude. but you can get, and their flight path, but you can get into more detail if you subscribe to this site. Well, this is what they were using, and they were reporting unusual high activity over the last couple of days of military vehicles going all around the U.S. Most recently, 17 C-130 flights going into Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. Now, what's interesting, according to Werx, again, retired Spec Ops military person, what's interesting is he says these vehicles are high-capacity military vehicles, meaning they transport large number of troops, equipment, and vehicles. And there were at least 17 of these going in there this weekend. So what is going on in Nevada? Don't know, but some say they're rounding up a bunch of these non-noticeable people and transporting them to bases, possibly Gitmo. Again, can't vet it. Don't know. That's why we call this the Conspiracy Show. So I'll leave with this. Joe Biden did a CNN interview recently with Kamala Harris. And they asked him about what would happen if him and Kamala Harris had differences. Listen to his response.
On our philosophy of government and simpatico on how we want to approach these issues that we're facing. And so I don't have, and when we disagree, it'll be just like, so far it's been just like when Barack and I did. It's in private. She'll say, I think we should do A, B, C, or D. And I'll say, I like A, don't like B and C. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. And like I told Barack, if I reach something where there's a fundamental disagreement we have based on a moral principle, I'll develop some disease and say I have to resign.
Is that weird or what? Was he projecting? Was this a Biden gaffe? My opinion. He was telling us what's going to happen. And we knew this. Most people already knew this was the plan. This is why Pelosi put that committee together for the 25th Amendment. Most people thought it was for Trump. It's actually for Biden, to where they're going to vote him out of office once he takes office. And who knows who's going to be the president. I don't know if it's going to be Kamala. I don't know if it's going to be somebody else. But one thing's for sure. With all these cabinet picks he's putting in there, this is definitely Obama's running the show. So we'll wait and see how this plays out. So as far as, Barr and Durham are concerned with the DOJ, again, I'm going to wait and see how it plays out. I'm not going to make a judgment. He's getting a lot of heat. They're both getting a lot of heat right now. But when Trump was asked about it, his response was, ask me in a couple of weeks and I'll let you know. Well, that goes to December 14th, December 18th time frame, and why that's important is when he invokes Executive Order 13848, it specifically states that he must act within 45 days of the election. That would put us at December 18th, 4 days after the Electoral College votes. And then I'll just leave with Q's last post to date. November 13th. And it's just got one word. Durham. Now, you can have 30 different theories on what this means. Nobody knows. You can make educated guesses. You can play around with it. Some means Durham's going to do the right thing. We'll have to wait and see. Now, Bill Barr did come out this week and said he appointed John Durham as special counsel back in October. Well, why didn't you announce this back in October? It might have been helpful going into the election to know this. Because what this means is it's going to be difficult to fire him now, just from political optics. If Biden comes in and just fires him, I mean, you gotta have a good reason for firing a special counsel. So we'll wait and see how this plays out. So that's the end of the show. I'll leave all the links in the description. I ask everybody, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Please pass it on to your friends. And until next time, same bat time, same bat channel. Stay strong, stay safe, stay vigilant. Good night, everybody.